So here we are on the 1 year anniversary of the horrible Sandy Hook massacre in Newtown, Connecticut. And I want to do something a little bit different. I want to kind of go into the whole First Amendment territory because, I'm an ardent supporter of free speech. And I think sometimes even the most seemingly offensive things out there deserve at least some sort of defense as a free expression. And today we're going to look at something that really teeters that line between good taste and absolute offensive agitprop. And it's a flash game called The Slaying of Sandy Hook Elementary. Perhaps you've heard of it. To kind of give you a formal idea of what it is, it's basically a flash game in which you play Adam Lanza on December 14th, 2012. So I know what you're thinking. This sounds absolutely deplorable, absolutely detestable and indefensible. But the thing is, I want to actually sit down and play it and show it to you and kind of give you sort of an overview of what this is, and then we'll determine whether or not this is actually just coarse garbage or if it actually is making some sort of abstruse political, artistic point. So we're going to boot this thing up, start off with something called historical mode. And you begin the game playing Lanza, who in the game is basically just a black shadow figure. And you walk around the environment. It's pretty much your standard adventure game. You're in the TV room, you pick up weaponry. So it's very standard flash game material, and you can interact with various things. So far, nothing really out of the norm. I mean, this is pretty much any sort of freeware game you could play. Now here's where things get a little iffy. This is a scene in which you're supposed to recreate the killing of Nancy Lanza. Now, do you really want to go through with this? That's kind of the thing. Everything is very context sensitive. And, just how extreme does the game get? I mean, really, is it that bad? Okay, well, here we are pointing the weapon, and a text prompt comes up, and we're being told to shoot her again, and just to make sure, one more time. So there you go. Couple more. So that's actually pretty historically inaccurate because he, of course, shot his mother that many times. So thankfully the game's not horribly graphic. I mean, it is, indeed, very coarse and violent. But at the same time, everything's very stylized. So anyway, we're going in here, we're getting the weaponry, commit the deed, and get ready to be freaked out. So yeah, this is it. I just want to advise everybody watching now, if you have any sort of hesitations about seeing even silhouettes of children being massacred, now's probably a good time to walk out. But I'm just going to do one room. I don't want to show you the entire thing because that's just exploitative. But basically, that's what the game to play boils down to. You walk around here, there's a very sort of basic looking pastel elementary school, and you just go from room to room. Well, you'll see. And there are children running around, and I feel bad doing this, but just to kind of give you an idea of what actually happened. This is what goes down. I'm not even going to do anything else. That's really all you need to know. That's the entire point of the game. Really horrible graphic stuff like that. And it's one of the things that is seemingly offensive until you realize, oh wait, this actually happened in real life. And it happens on a daily basis. And we'll get to the sort of political point behind the game later on. So, yeah, that's it. As a gamer, I'm not really that good. And now we have a prompt here that says, skip to end by hitting X. A message at the bottom of the screen says the police have arrived. And just to be historically accurate, there you go, you get to commit suicide. So there. And yeah, they actually track it, and you're allowed to. It's an actual game, in case you're wondering. There is sort of an objective list to it. So yeah, we're getting some of our stats. We have 1 dead, no teachers, 56 children escaped out of 58. And at the bottom you have the actual body count of Sandy Hook Elementary, 26 dead, 6 teachers, 20 students, 2 wounded. So here's where things go from being just really offensive and stupid and pointless to being really subversive and political. So going back to the main menu, and we have something here called gun control mode. Let's take a look at this. It's a little bit different. As you'll see, it's making sort of a very morbid joke here. Since Adam Lanza didn't have access to guns in this alternate reality, he had to stab his mother to death with what appears to be an entire steak knife set. And we have a message here that says, get the AR-15 from the gun safe, put in the combination, no, it's not your birthday, why would it be your birthday? Okay, it's just really, like I said, there's some humor to it. It's very cold black and extremely morbid, but it's there. So ultimately the joke line is, well, he doesn't have a gun, so he has to use a katana. And this is right there, the line says, oh, by the way, there was a sledgehammer outside so he could get in. And you know, unfortunately, I understand what they're trying to do, but at the same time, it's kind of the exact same point. You walk in, and there are people fleeing, and it's pretty much the exact same thing as earlier. Once again, I want to apologize if you want to just like skip ahead 20 seconds because what you think is about to happen, it's about to happen. So just for the sake of artistic and kind of give a representation of what's actually in the game. Yeah, that's real humorous. Boy, that makes me want to support gun control. Right there. So anyway, and also you're allowed to end the game as well by doing these sort of things. I guess, you know, graphically and audio, the presentation is quite well. But yeah, that's more or less the gist of it. And police have arrived, and in this alternate reality, Mr. Lanza commits suicide by taking pills or something. Oh, there we go. So there we go. And it gives you another count and some more jokes here up top. And I also have one more different game mode. This is where things get extremely political. It's called Eagle Tears mode. And this is an alternate reality where Adam Lanza goes into a school, but wait a minute, all of the teachers are armed. So let's see what happens. Let's see if that makes any profound changes. See? She's fleeing to rescue the children. Oh no. Oh wow. Oh, I didn't know that happened. Oh, if you saw that, in the midst of all the chaos, she accidentally murdered a child. Oh wow, I'm kind of shocked by that. Oh goodness. Wow, this is staggering, really. So anyway, in case you're wondering, this is the same guy that made not Vietnam, sorry, I was watching a special earlier. The same guy that made the Virginia Tech game. It's not by the same guy that did the Columbine RPG, but very much like those two games. You know, they're really stretching the boundary. They're actually talking about major socio-cultural issues, and I think because this is a fledgling art form, and because it's just so blunt and so visceral and interactive, I think is probably the big one. It's kind of hard to really digest it properly, I think. But at the end of the day, I think this is really just about as, you know, meaningful and poignant as perhaps, you know, something like Newtown, American Tragedy, the book that just came out, written by Matthew Lysiak, and it's certainly nowhere near as exploitative as, I don't know, you know, the nonstop CNN coverage and the intentional patronization of Lanza. It's something of a postmodern hero. So, boy, I hope that music is not public. That music better be public domain. So yeah, that's it. So that's more or less the game as a whole. And if you actually stick around, you can actually hear a message from the creator, who goes on this long rant about how he moved to Australia, and it's really, the entire point of this is actually making a gun control argument in favor of it, of saying, hey, you know, if we had these preventive measures, perhaps things wouldn't be as horrific, and obviously it's kind of skewering sort of the NRA take on protective measures for schools. So anyway, that's pretty much all the hoopla has been about. If you haven't seen it, if you ask me whether or not this is just exploitative garbage, or it's actually has something sort of meaningful or critical to say, I think it probably does have something sort of meaningful to say, just because it's in a different sort of art form and it's not really going the traditional route and it has that interactive nature to it. But clearly it passes the slaps test. It has some serious artistic and political merit as a pro-gun control social creation. As far as video game goes, can't really say I'm a huge fan, but then again, it's not really meant to be entertainment. It's meant to kind of prove a point, or at least deliver a very blunt, if not a sort of hypocritical statement about gun violence. So there you go. That's the slaying of Sandy Hook Elementary, and if you haven't played it, you can play it. I'm all about free expression, even if it is a little distasteful and not exactly intentionally nailing everything that it wants to do as a cultural commentary. It's worth a look. It's worthy. It's saying something. It's doing something different. And you know what? I think in today's day and age, where we're seeing so much absolute garbage being spread around regarding gun control and the Sandy Hook shooting and mental health and all these conspiracy theories, this is far from being the most offensive thing out there pertaining to the Sandy Hook massacre. So yeah, at the end of the day, that's pretty much my thoughts on it. There's really nothing more to say. Some people want the Second Amendment. I really want the First Amendment, and this is important. Free expression, y'all. Free expression.